you would find a lot of similarities between those. Although, as I pointed out earlier, you need to keep in mind their differences always when structuring products or tailoring products to these investors, because of different legal and regulatory differences as well. For instance, at QIB where I work, we have structured several products. Private equity. We worked on private equity. We worked on Sukuk fund, on listed equity, and depending on the clientele, you're tailoring the products, which is basically the same thing as in conventional. You need to look at the regulatory requirements as well very carefully, because the regulations for retail investors is very much more heavier, I would say, or much more strict than for any institutional or knowledgeable investor. The other thing I wanted to point out is as well, you need to manage the expectations the expectations of the alternative investor. Where is he coming from? As I pointed out before, the Middle Eastern Muslim investor is not necessarily at the same level as a North American, for instance, Muslim investor who has the knowledge of much deeper knowledge, maybe of a conventional system, and manage their expectations in terms of how do you tailor the product, or in terms of risk and performance, knowing that the reference would be always conventional banking for some type of clientele versus another. So I had many other things, but maybe I will let the floor ask questions if there are any specific questions. For now, thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Steve. If you could come up to the microphone over here. Just introduce yourself briefly again.
Stephen Ranzini, founder, president, CEO of University Islamic Financial and University Bank. At the Harvard conference, I asked a question which no one on the panel was willing to touch, so throw it at you guys and see your reaction. So going to the frame of alternative investor in SRI, socially responsible investing perspective, right? So I said, as a Catholic, all Catholics, like Christians, believe in increasing the common good. And if we see something which works, it doesn't have to be our technology, our thoughts, our ethics, but if we see something that works to increase the common good, shouldn't we then adopt that and take that on board? And I said, well, we see that the Islamic mutual funds on the screens produce excellent returns, excellent alpha with low beta, driven by avoidance of debt and avoidance of financing things which are unproductive, like not financing leveraged buyouts of companies, which don't add any quantum of goodness to the world. So do you agree with these thoughts? And obviously you are not Catholics, but do you think that other faith systems should be looking at what the Muslim community is doing and try to take that on board?
Thank you for the question. I think we have been thinking ahead of this, and UM Financial has already launched the application for multicultural bank. And I don't know, we do have one of our partners in UFANA being from a Christian background, Reverend Lindsay. And I've also attended another session recently called Usury-Free Week here in Toronto. I think you're aware of it. It started in the States. So there are a number of partners and entities who are interested in seeing. We have had also workshops with the Mennonite community because they see what we're doing is the same. And just like in the concept of environmentalism, where we shared a number of issues together, I'm part of the we're in the sacred spaces. So we are already working on a number of issues together on common ground. So I think there is room and there is potential, there is hope that we will be able to do the same in the multicultural bank. In terms of the capitalist concept, Islam is not totally against making profits. After all, what have been the mechanism behind the entire expansion in terms of Islamic finance, even prior to the modern era, is that there were people out there who were trading already, right? As the Quran talks about it, رحلة الشتاء في الصيف, in the winter and the summer they used to trade already. So Islam just came about to modify that and to regulate that. So I think for sure, even if we are driven by capital profits, there's nothing wrong with that, provided again it's within that framework.
I would tend to agree. Thank you for the question. As I pointed out, I think there are a lot of similarities with what is being done in Islamic finance, and where the world, the awareness which I see living in the Middle East, the awareness that it's here in the West, which I don't like to say the West, because there's also developed countries in the East, but for the sake of it. The awareness of the ethics, or the awareness of the renewable and the world as a whole, and this whole movement of renewable energy and recycling, which is not taking place yet in the East. I think there's a lot of similarities between that and the perception or some of the principles of Islamic finance. We've been approached by a lot of fund managers, as you would understand from what was being said in the previous sessions. The money being in the GCC, and everybody trying to come and have offering their services in one way or another. There's a lot of ethical funds or ethical fund managers that come to the region saying that they're doing very similar things that what we are seeking in terms of the industries that we invest in, and actually the another layer of financial the financial layer that we put on in terms of as I said earlier, the indebtedness and derived interest from revenues from interest is something that is again post-crisis has been out there, and a lot of investors are looking into those ethical funds, saying that, well, first of all, they're investing into the industries that we believe in, and are less harming the society in the whole, but in the same time there's more tangible assets behind the investments, and that is more in line with their view. So I wouldn't say that like the gentleman that other faith-based religions should follow Islam. That would be a statement a bit out of. I wouldn't say that, but I think whether faith or non-faith based, we're getting there into more ethical, into more conscious investments. Where we're going, because we saw that the capitalistic market, and we have numerous examples of that. For years and years, it was advocated, and we were thought that it's the best system versus the communist system, for instance, which I come from. And I found to balance the argument that I think there's good a bit in both, and I think that the truth lies somewhere in between, where you have where the gain, as my colleague said, there's nothing wrong with making money, making profit. I think the question lies of how you make it. Thank you.